What is going on here? Well, what's going on is I recorded this and there was no voice. So I have to do it all over again on a day it is due, along with a whole ton of homework that I have to do instead of this. I am not happy about this. Alright, so new planet, well, new moon, technically. I can't even remember the name of it, and I don't really need to care. Why does every time I log in, the feet are right off the ground again? That happens every time. There's something with the way it loads that's quite wrong. Okay. Alright, so recap. What have I done? There was a lot of texture work. All throughout. The outside has gotten smoother because at range, due to the scale of this ship, at range, this sort of simple plate armor started looking like a grid, and it was really distracting, and I hated it. And I haven't found anything I like better than this yet. I will do some subtle details, like some of these curves, or like that part right there in the center of the screen, that might like have some intake valves or something. I don't know, some texture to indicate that. But yeah, I basically walk through. Let us go all the way to the end here. I should have been doing that from the beginning. Actually, you know what? Screw it. I don't care about the back. You can believe me that I have done a fair amount of work with texturing. The floors have all become this. The furniture's all become that. Oh, look, it's not here. Oh. Corridor. Wrong corridor. No, it's not the wrong corridor. Yes, it is the wrong corridor. Okay, so this has a problem. When you go outside and come down here, the first time before his finished loading, there will be like a component sticking down and floating in mid-air right here, and that's a bit of a bug. So you can see some texture updates, the floors and furniture, pretty much well, in here it's carpet, but and half of the reason for the carpet, not that it actually can be experienced in the game, is soundproofing between these tightly knit quarters is bad enough. You have to sleep with 7 other people sometimes, and you know, if the crewmen, the non-officers, if the staff, if they have to work in shifts, then they may not even be able to keep a whole bed to themselves. It might be that there's a shift in here at all times. However, this is not that big a ship, so I'm pretty sure each member of the crew should be able to have their own bed permanently. Plus, some of this may be extended for guests or just transporting people from place to place. Anyways, so I don't recall. I think I showed you that there were rooms in this area before. I had rooms in this area before, but I can't remember if I recorded that. I've taken them out, and I'm going to put them back in again because I changed my mind a couple of times. And one of the reasons I did that, I'm going to zip through here without showing you the whole thing yet, because that comes later. Up here, so part of the problem is no matter what I do, the middle level, you can see it's 3 high in here. I either have a room below that is with shallow, and you know, you're bumping your head into the lights, or somewhat less shallow, making this layer here thinner, you know, like a half block or something, but you can't affix lights to that, which is annoying. And then regardless of which of those two things you do, the layer up above is still going to be, you know, head bumping shallows, so that's a little annoying. I'm going to fly for a second here. So what I thought I'd do is have quarters above, and to make up for the fact that it's kind of, you know, not a lot of headroom, you get a view. You know, like the bed can be here, and you can just let it look up and see the view. So there's that. You know, we could do that. Which means below we could have labs, storage, like, I don't know, gyms. There isn't anything in game I've thought of yet that I think to me says this is gym equipment, but whatever. There's things that can be done. I suppose there could be a more, I don't know. That's part of what's throwing me off here. And I can't remember. The crew may be as little as 5 in the original game. The officers, I'm going to call them, so that the crew, the people who run the ship, are not really operated by the player. We'll just make that assumption because of how big this damn ship is and it requires it. But I think there's somewhere between 5 and 7 officers, and I can't quite remember which. So on that theory, there might be 2 or 3 quarters on each side, and then I think I can fit the captain's quarter like in this space. And then here, we ought to be able to have a meeting area just behind. You know, so if there's nothing out in front going on super important, they can gather here and chat, or if they need to do planning or something, they can do that. And that way everybody's quarters are on the same deck as their job. It's just that if I add more things down here to do, like labs and such, I can think of a couple of labs, but how many do you really need? So I don't know. This is mostly where the effort since last time has come into play. This is the Zen Café with the E acute in the title. Oh, you know what? I forgot to mention that. I'll get to it at the end. Anyways, the theory here, notice I could not find the room anywhere to have enough space between the light which is required for there also to be plants. That was big enough to be really worthwhile. So what I decided to do was just keep it open and sort of encapsulate it a little bit. But it's open to the air, and the point is, aside from providing a little bit of food, you know, like fresh nutrients and such beyond rations and, you know, pre-made stuff. How did you forget? Starboard. Port. Zen Cafe fridge. I'm pretty dang sure I set that up before. So anyways, you know, there's a range on either side. There's a fridge on either side. Any of these that grow beyond what a person wants to eat in the moment can be stored. That's fine. That's cool. I think it's all food except for the aloe here. But the point beyond just snacking on it is we evolved in an environment where we cannot be separated from other organisms. So, I mean, we imagine we can, but, you know, you look at a city slugger who's never been anywhere near some woods, and they are just nothing but allergies. Whereas, you know, those of us who, you know, and it varies by person, from person to person, of course, but, what am I saying? Those of us who, you know, dug in the dirt and picked up snakes and climbed trees and stuff growing up, you know, and now that I'm in the city and I'm surrounded by these people with terrible allergies, and I've got nothing. If I even poison ivy doesn't really bother me, and I attribute it to being around life. So that's part of the point here is these things emit chemicals in the air, stuff like that. You can smell them. You can sort of be in their presence, and they have a sort of curative, just, you know, curative interaction with the crew. So this is a cafe. You just hang out here. You have your snacks. It's not like a full-fledged restaurant. This isn't like a cruise ship or anything. But you're sort of in close proximity to these things, and it reminds your immune system and your various biological systems that, hey, you're a living creature and you need this. So that's sort of the idea there, and it's all completely compensation for what little space I could actually find to put it in. So, yeah, and I think that's it. Other than texture changes, there was a little bit of a change here. Whoops. This got laid out a little bit differently, only because I gutted it to see if I could fit the garden in here, and I couldn't, because, and actually, this makes me nervous. This floor here is paper thin, and it's space on the other side, and I really kind of don't like that, but I also didn't like trying to make it look any different. Unfortunately, I can't not have some of that with this here, because this is a tall apparatus. This is one of those situations where I wish with large apparatuses like this there were a few different models you could pick from that are, some are extra long and some are wide and short, so you could fit them in different spaces, but they fulfill the same purpose. That would be really nice. Okay, and so last thing for this update is name change of the channel, which you may have noticed by now. I meant to change it yesterday with the Dwarf Fortress episode, but I forgot. Because why wouldn't I? I'm a forgetful person. Who are you again? I mean, actually, a couple of years ago, I think I went looking around just out of curiosity, and there were like 4 or 5 different Jet Plays channels, and none of them were active other than mine. Not that mine is super active, but, you know, I was the biggest around. But there's a new one, I assume new, contacted me. It's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to take your name. And I'm like, it's no big deal. And then after I thought about it for a bit, I'm like, you know, I kind of want to change my name anyways. So, you know, if they remain active, they get to keep the name. I'm going to use Valdrai, which is the name all of my characters. If it's not Rajel, it is not Sejal or Sajal, it's Valdrai. And half the time it's Rajel Valdrai and Sajal Valdrai and stuff like that. Like, that's a surname or something. Look at that little tiny green planet following the sun around. Yep, so it's just... This is my channel, Valdrai. My characters, you can find me. I think even on Steam I'm called Valdrai. I think. So, you know, makes sense. And I was like, is it Valdrai Plays or Valdrai Sandbox or crap like that? And those are all got wicked clunky. So I'm just like, no, it's just Valdrai's whatever the series is. So there you go. Name change. Thanks for watching. Come again next time.